Welcome live on a Sunday night. You could be anywhere in the world doing anything else, but you're here spending time with Corn Nation Overreaction live on YouTube, Facebook, and
Twitter.
I'm the oldest of the bunch, but I'm the only one to jump on the X bandwagon. So it is what it is. I'm Greg Mahochko. To my left, your right, Haas Reuter. And the man upstairs, he's like Mike Seaver, living above the garage in growing pains. It's every game, Jake. What's up, gentlemen? How we doing this bye weekend?
Good. Best part of a bye week is once it's over. So it's game week again.
Yeah. Jake, you had a productive weekend, I'm sure.
Was it? No, it was not. It was nice just kind of hanging out.
It's very true. Sometimes you need to hit the old reset button. And we have to hit the show the comment button because Theo at 8:27 tonight gave us a super chat and said Omaha Central 31, West Side High 28.
Omaha Central's good.
Yeah, go Birds.
And wanted us to know and paid us for the privilege of telling everybody else. So thank you.
I went to a high school football game over the weekend where I teach, Buena Vista High School.
Really?
They lost 78-0.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. The Bison, they're going to, give them some time. It's still a new school, but Bellevue West is good.
Yep. Theo, thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Fred is or was here at least anyway at 2:30. He said first. Braska Rascal says Iowa still sucks. We'll talk about that. Must have hit the reset because Justin Raji said first.
Well, the only answer to this is put him in a cage and let him go at it and see who comes out on top.
Yeah. 2 men enter, 1 man leave.
Now, are you talking the old big blue cage or are you talking like the more modern chain link fence cage?
The big blue cage.
It's got to be the big blue cage. A thing of death. So, see, Theo says, trust these dudes to come correct after making us wait so long. I mean, we make you wait the appropriate amount of time. Let's calm down there, Theo. So, bye week, Fred's watched a lot of high school football the last 20 years, a.k.a. Nebraska. Okay, we're going to be positive tonight, Fred. We're going to set the tone right now from the get-go.
Yeah. Fred, it's not your fault.
I'm going to tell you right now, we're going off. We don't have a script. Let's say we're going off script. There's no script. After watching some good college football over the last few days, I mean, our quarterback play, I'm a little bit more impressed with after watching the rest of the country. I did not high school level football happen out there at Memorial State.
I feel after watching football all weekend, I came away from this bye week really encouraged. I rewatched the Michigan game earlier this week, put together some more thoughts on it, and I looked at it and I was like, Michigan's going to be 10-2 at minimum by the end of the year in the hunt for the playoff, and we battled them to the end. It's going to be the best O-line and front seven we see all year. I'm not going to be the typical Husker fan that just burns everything down after the first loss of the year. That's not that loss is a better loss than our first one last year against Illinois.
Yeah, fuck no. And also the way that we lost with it being, you got beat up, whatever. Yeah, like you're not going to take away those 3 long runs. That's part of the game. People can't say, well, you take away this. I hate that. Yep. Take away this play. I hate that narrative.
It's like if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle.
She'd be my uncle. Yeah, exactly. I was going to say another joke that would be way inappropriate and offend a lot of people, so I'm not going to keep it to myself. But same thing. Dude, you can't take those away. But, we stayed right there in that game, and I'm always somebody like, well, we're better than our record. No, your record is what your record says you are, and you are what that score says you are. You were right there with what I think is an elite team in this conference, especially after watching some of the others. We're going to get into the conference as a whole and college football as a whole, but a little sneak peek is Oregon needs to start getting some credit for how good they are around the country. They do. Because they're not getting mentioned enough in the national discussion.
And I think there's still this weird stigma on Oregon that they think that people nationally just think Oregon's the flash and dash Chip Kelly spread offense. They're absolutely strong in the trenches. I'm happy they're not on our schedule this year. That O-line was just mauling Penn State at the point of attack.
Dude, how about Isaiah World, by the way?
Yeah.
I mean,
He almost got here.
Yeah, almost got here. He's a first-round draft pick. The guy's a monster.
Or like on defense, that Dylan Thieneman from Purdue that transferred to Oregon. He was the one that knocked Harburg out a couple years ago when we beat Purdue. Dude, he was all over the field. Oregon is a scary, scary team.
They obviously with being Sunday and all the college football action wrapped up, there's a new AP poll, and Oregon was number 6. They're now number 2.
As they should be.
As they should be.
Ole Miss jumped from number 13 to number 4. And let's see, Alabama's back in the top 10. Virginia, with their big win over Florida State, they're in the top 25. So it's Ohio State, Oregon, Miami, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Texas A&M. Penn State drops from 3, I think, to 7. Indiana's right there, number 8, undefeated. Texas, Alabama. As far as other, Missouri's in there, Michigan's in there at 20, Illinois at 22. So they didn't. We'll talk. One thing that I saw yesterday is the Big Ten has a few teams that are upper echelon, quote unquote, elite, and the teams that are in the quote unquote middle, anybody could be there. Because last week we saw Indiana kick the crap out of Illinois. Illinois kicks a field goal to walk off USC. Meanwhile, Indiana goes to Iowa and kind of barely escapes. I mean, I know it's a little bit more dramatic than that, but it's just you've got a very busy middle section of the conference, but you still have Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, and probably Michigan. Although I'm sure that Indiana fans, if they're watching this later, they're going to feel disrespected because Indiana is in the top 10 and Michigan's not. So I don't know. I don't know where I would rank Indiana until they would play an Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan team.
Well, and to kind of tie what you said about the middle of the pack Big Ten back into Husker football, I think it really highlights how important the next 4 games of our season are, because we're going up against programs that are peer programs to us right now. We're not punching up a weight class going up against Michigan. So if you want to start establishing some credit, these are the teams you got to go 4-0 against them, and then reset the board for the USC game on November 1st. I think by the time the month of October gets over with, there's going to be a lot of clarity to the conference race. I mean, that's a water is wet statement because, yeah, you're 2/3 through the season at that point. But the way our schedule shakes out, where it's kind of bookended by Michigan at the start of the conference slate, USC on November 1st, Penn State on November 22nd, then Iowa's always going to be a grudge match, we'll get a pretty good indication of where we're at. Just like I don't expect us to jump up to being top 3 in the conference by any means. That pecking order is pretty well established, but I think we could start to kind of go maybe use Indiana as a little bit of a measuring stick, even though they've had the big win so far, what they did to Illinois, escaping in Iowa City. But when you look at Indiana, talent-wise, they're not head and shoulders above Nebraska in terms of raw athletic talent. They're more well-coached at this point. I think it's a testament to Cignetti's experience as a head coach and the experiences of the coordinators that he brought there. But I think that Indiana is a more accurate measuring stick by the end of the season than comparing ourselves to like Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon.
Let's see. Stephen Fromm says, told you before the season began that Oregon was winning the Big Ten this year, and we didn't want to believe him. I don't know. I don't remember that. And that's just because I have a bad memory. Stephen, I'm not doubting you or anything like that. I just don't remember anything. So didn't remember that the damn donut shop that I was hoping to hit up today after church that they're closed on Sundays. So that got all the way there and found that they're closed. Like, son of a bitch. So
what kind of donut shop is closed on Sundays?
One that has such little – they're closed on Sundays and Mondays because they just don't have the help.
Do you live in Southern Illinois or Soviet Illinois?
Yeah. Hey, whoa. I mean, it's Illinois, so it's kind of still Soviet.
Fair enough.
But we still got donuts. We just had to do a detour. Me and the boys, we spent a lot of windshield time hunting donuts this morning. So
should have been a cop.
What's that?
You should have been a cop. No disrespect to law enforcement. It's just low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the Huskers. 3-1 with wins over Cincinnati, Akron, Houston Christian, of course, and then the loss last weekend at home against Michigan. I think it needs to be said kind of right at the beginning that, yeah, we beat Cincinnati, but Cincinnati's a better team than we probably gave them credit for at the time. When we beat them by a few points, everybody's like, oh, we're not nearly as far along as we thought. But Haas, you were informing me, and it's a good reminder to the viewers here that in their win yesterday against Kansas, Brennan Sorsby threw for 380 yards or something.
388 yards. They ended up beating Kansas 37-34. And outside of the Nebraska game, Sorsby has slung the rock on everybody.
I was saying, I think I saw a thing on, I could be wrong, so don't castrate me if I'm wrong, but I thought I saw something that said other than Nebraska, he hasn't thrown for less than 323 in the game. He slings on everyone he plays. I mean, they're a good football team.
Kansas had no answers for Sorsby, their offensive line. I mean, Cincinnati got ripped pretty good. Kansas is an explosive run-based offense because their version, I can't remember if it's Jaden Daniels or Jalen Daniels. Too many J Daniels out there, Jack Daniels. Or if you're Al Pacino in Scent of a Woman, you know him as long as I have. He goes by John. He threw for 445 on Cincinnati. And so it was it was a great game, big-time shootout. Cincinnati came away with the win, and I was sitting there yesterday, and I'm like, wow, we as Husker fans, really, we got to lighten up, whether we need some Valium or whatever. Like, we need to get out of this depression that's been caused by, better part of 25 years of program mismanagement and just not meeting the mark, and start to realize and get accustomed to the modern condition of college football.
I think I don't want to necessarily toss out Akron and Houston Christian. I don't think they're necessarily indicative of where Nebraska is in 2025. It was great to see those big lopsided wins, but I think the Cincinnati game and sadly the Michigan game are a little bit more telling. And it's not I'm going to repeat a phrase that I used last week. I don't walk away from either of those games feeling doom and gloom. Like last week, everybody here was like, oh, this was from the water boy. Oh, great, we suck again, something like that. Like, that was not my takeaway from the Michigan game. My takeaway from the Michigan game is we stuck with the number 21 team in the country, despite all of our deficiencies, offensive line, defensive line, the fact that Dylan was running for his life and our defense kind of forgot to tackle in key moments and giving up big plays, and we only lost by 3. Mm-hmm. I think that's a positive. I don't know.
Friday night before the Michigan game, I told my girlfriend Katie when she asked how I thought the game would go. And of course, being a Husker fan, sometimes to a fault, I was like, oh, I think we're going to win. I said 31-21. But I said if we lost, it'll be by a field goal. It'll be because we can't protect Dylan from their front seven. We'll struggle to run the football, and our defense will let us down. Jake, you said the same thing to me Saturday morning before the game. So it played out exactly like that. And I thought there was a greater likelihood of us blowing them out or winning by, whatever you want to call it, blow up, 14 to 17 points than them blowing us out, because this Nebraska team does feel different in its approach. You saw it against Cincinnati. Hartsaw gets the defensive holding penalty against him. The next play, he makes the game-sealing interception. Akron and Houston Christian, we took care of business against scrubs like you're supposed to. And then against Michigan, we went toe-to-toe with a team that's recruited at an elite level for the past 5 years and won a national championship 2 years ago. And in the past 5 seasons, played in the playoffs 3 out of those 5 years.
Fred says, or is it an indictment on this Michigan team not being this unbelievable force not sold on Michigan? I mean, you were saying
that's one that I've heard a lot. I don't mean to cut you off, Greg, but that's a topic I've heard a lot around Omaha over the past week. And Michigan is a team that they beat Ohio State last year by 3 in a game where they controlled the trenches against the eventual national champion. They went on to beat Alabama in the whatever bowl game they were in. I forget, which one. But when you look at it, they've played at an elite level going back to last November. And I don't think I thought Michigan was underrated at 21. Obviously, they got dropped because they lost to Oklahoma. But in my opinion, right now, nationally, Michigan is a top 12 team in the country.
I agree. 100%. And also, when it comes to Nebraska, what have we outscored our opponents by this year?
Before the Michigan game, it was something like 127 to like 24.
Okay, then you could include the Michigan game. What is it, 170 or whatever? What is it,
174 to
170? Yeah,
174 to 27 or 37.
What are we talking?
Is that Lane?
That's not my baby.
No, that's my baby.
I never believed people before I had a child of my own that you can tell difference in cries, but it's the most evident thing. Like when when me and Katie are over with you guys, Jake, and one of them starts crying, I'm like, "Is that mine?" Nope, not mine.
No. What is it, Gray? What's the point differential? Oh, sorry. I thought you were pulling it up. My bad. Not to put you on the spot. I thought you said you were pulling it up.
I was pulling up Husker Bob's comment here that Michigan's only going to get better with Underwood this year. Wait until he starts to get some touch on his passes.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we got him in his fourth game of his career. So
sorry, Greg. I didn't mean. I thought you said. I misheard you. I was petting my dog.
Make his appearance.
Yeah, I know. Whatever it is, 170 to about 40, right? Whatever that is. What are we talking about, Husker Nation? We're looking good. And by the way, I disagree. I do not throw out the wins against Akron and Houston Christian.
That's
what you do when you're a good football team.
Right. But I don't think those scores were indicative of, truly indicative of this Nebraska team because they were inferior competition.
They were, but that's what you do.
Right.
And if you're a good football team, you take care of those teams. And Nebraska hasn't done that. I mean, when's the last time we won something like that? What was that Frost game?
Did the math.
What was that Frost game where we beat Northwestern 56-7? What year?
That was in 2021.
That's like the last time I remember. Yeah. We struggled with Fordham a few years ago.
Well, and I think that point differential and the caliber of the two Power 4 teams we played, Cincinnati and Michigan, and the point differential from all 4 games in total is really what's driving that high spread that people are seeing for Nebraska and Michigan State. And I think looking at Michigan State, I think there's a little bit of PTSD from Husker fans and some pearl clutching going, oh, it's another Power 4 opponent. God, we're gonna shit the bed here. Michigan State, they can't stop a nosebleed. When they beat Boston College, I thought, wow, Boston College is improved. Boston College is not improved. They're not very good either. They had 45 hung on them by USC. I think that spread is pretty indicative of what Vegas thinks Nebraska can do in this game. And that total set at 53.5, I believe that it is. I think you're looking at probably like a 35-17 type ball game. I mean, I don't want to get into that too much, because we're not doing predictions right now. But while we're talking about playing the Power 4 opponents on our schedule, getting into this 4-game run here of teams that we should consider to be peer programs in the conference and not have to punch up in a weight class when we go toe-to-toe with them, this is a situation where I think that Nebraska we have a great opportunity right now to show, that Michigan game was just a game that we got outpowered physically. But we're here. We're legit. We're not, fugazi.
Yeah, nothing against Michigan State's defense or anything, but I have watched at least 2 of their games this year. At least 2, maybe part of another one. This is a game that Dylan could easily throw for 400 yards. And not because he's just throwing 50 passes. I mean, we might have some big plays.
You know how college football announcers and fans nationally still say, oh, look at Nebraska. They always got that big physical athletic offensive line just because that's what's kind of, solidified in their minds. I think Husker fans tend to look at Michigan State and they still think of Michigan State defense as being those Spartan dogs under D'Antonio. Yeah. Great secondaries, great front sevens. this is not the case.
This isn't that. No, not this year.
I think that Nebraska, I'm not going to say like, oh, we can name our score because obviously it's a Big Ten conference football game. But I don't think we're going to be, unless we turn the football over, I don't think we're going to be in a situation where we're like, oh, shit, here we go again in this game.
Real quick sidebar, Minnie is in the chat tonight, and she says that Northwestern game in 2021 was her first game in Lincoln.
Yeah, Xavier Betts had that long touchdown run where it looked like he had Randy Moss speed, and then he couldn't.
And then it all went downhill for him from there.
Yep.
But then I know she also wants me to remind all of you viewers that with tomorrow being her very special birthday episode, if you have a senior picture or a picture from when you were 18, 19, something like that, make sure you send it to me so we can showcase that or she can showcase that tomorrow on her show, her and Fred on Monday Night Therapy. So you can email that to me at hooch3600@gmail.com. And we're going to go back in time with just a lot of us, apparently. So that's the housekeeping for the night. The referendum is still out for Nebraska football. The next 4 games are going to be, I think, the key games, more telling than what we'll find in November. Like October is going to be a key month for the Huskers, and
October is more of like, I'm not equating those 4 programs to Akron and Houston Christian when I say this, but if you're as good as you think you are as a program, it's take care of business. Just take care of business through the month of October.
So that's something to keep in the back of my mind. Again, tonight's a fairly, I think, going to be a positive tone for the remainder of the show. And let's take a little glance around the Big Ten Conference because there were a lot of teams off. Michigan was off. Nebraska, of course, was off. Michigan State had a bye week. Purdue was off. I'm missing a couple more that also had the week off. Maryland, I think, was off. And who am I missing, gentlemen?
I think you about hit all the marks there.
All right. So a week after getting obliterated by Indiana, Illinois walk-off field goal to defeat USC. Minnesota barely beat Rutgers 31-28. As I called last week, Northwestern beat UCLA in the bottom of the barrel bowl. Ohio State beat Washington. Now, for the number 1 team in the country, I don't know. Maybe they took their foot off the gas. 24-6.
Washington's not bad.
Washington's just overlooked, maybe.
Yeah, I think they're a little underlooked, but that's the first time they lost in Husky Stadium since November 26, 2021.
Oh, wow. Couldn't happen to a better squad. I don't know.
I got no beef with them.
No, I don't. As I indicated, I think on the Five Heart podcast on Thursday, after beating the crap out of Illinois, Indiana was going to go to Iowa and end up in a rock fight, and that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
Indiana Hoosiers come out with the win, 20-15. It was just the weirdest. I don't know if you guys watched the end of that game. The weirdest clock management at the end, because when Iowa had the ball and had the possibility to move the ball, they didn't use a single of their 3 timeouts. It was after they gave the ball back to Indiana on turnover on downs. Every time Indiana kneeled to try to just end the game, Ferentz called a timeout and used all of his 3 timeouts there. So on the very last play of the game, Fernando, I believe the Indiana quarterback, that's why it's an oddball score, 20-15. It was 20-13, and probably pissed off Vegas to some extent because he just had to run, killed 4 seconds or something like that, run into the end zone, take a safety. So just odd clock management on that. I don't know if you guys caught the end of that or if you have thoughts on Indiana, Iowa.
Yeah, I'm a gambling man myself, and it kind of, Indiana was 6.5 point favorites, so that's intentional safety. did screw over everyone who bet Indiana, which I know the players and the coaches are not thinking about that, nor should they be. That would be a problem if they were. But, yeah, that's the most Iowa thing in the world is to do what they did. I've been very vocal with my disdain for that state and that program for a long time, and I wish them nothing but the worst. Haas.
Couldn't have said it better myself. My co-teacher is a diehard Hawkeye fan, and on Friday before school let out for the weekend, him and I were talking about that game, and he thought Iowa was just going to get the brakes beat off of them.
Yeah, which I thought they were too.
And I told him, I was like, nope, it'll be that Kirk Ferentz voodoo black magic kind of game where shorten the game by, staying in the huddle until there's only a little bit left on the play clock, lining up, snapping the ball with 3 seconds left, picking up 3 yards on 3rd and 2, which they did that with Gronowski. They're right there. And I was so happy that Indiana won that game because I would have been sick as a dog if Iowa was able to notch a win over a highly ranked team, So, but it played out about exactly as I thought it would.
Let's see. Tony says after crushing Rutgers, he has the Buckeyes on upset alert, I think, for Minnesota upsetting Ohio State. I don't know if I go with that. Gary Pierce says PJ went body surfing in the locker room after the win against Rutgers.
Sounds about right.
And Minnie says, I didn't see that. PJ body surfing. Why do I think it wasn't his first time?
Exactly. It's definitely not.
Yeah, I bet he went and bought some 26-inch inseam pants afterwards, too.
Yeah.
Did anybody ever teach him how to wear pants?
Nothing.
Come on. You can have a shorter inseam, but, come on, wearing capris, have some respect for yourself.
And last but not least, the one game we hadn't mentioned yet, in double overtime, the Oregon Ducks beat the Penn State Nittany Lions and jumped to number 2 in the country with the new rankings, 30-24. And we were talking a little bit about this before the show started. We all watched a little bit of this game last night. At one point, I think it was, let's see. Now, Penn State had to score 21 unanswered points. If you include the first points in overtime, they were down 2 touchdowns at the beginning of the fourth quarter and tied it up. And at times, their quarterback, I think, looked really good. I think it was obviously a bad pass or bad decision on the interception there that closed the game. But I don't know. I don't want to use the phrase as advertised, but he was able to move the ball with his arm. He was able to extend some plays with his legs. But Haas, you were saying, and this I think is important for Nebraska fans, Penn State's trenches not as good as Michigan's.
No, I don't think they are. And a lot, in that game, Oregon showcased how strong they are up front. But when you look at Penn State's season in totality leading up to the Oregon game, they played absolutely nobody. And while they put up points, they struggled to get push even against Nevada, against Villanova. It just didn't look like what a top 5 team should be doing to those kinds of teams. I don't think Penn State is as bad of a matchup for us up front as Michigan was. And also, when you were talking about Drew Aller from Penn State, they let the wrong quarterback transfer last year. Bo Pribula, who's now at Mizzou, they should have kept Pribula.
Yeah, because Missouri's a top 20 team right now. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about that because
that pisses me off just about as much as Iowa. I hate Mizzou.
Well, here's the thing that really shocked me, and I actually sent BFOTS Josh Hansen was driving last night. I'm not going to get into these specifics, but he was like, I need some football, some college football updates. So I was giving him some updates. I said, wait a minute, Vanderbilt is a top 20 team? Like what? Vandy?
They're legit. They play Alabama next Saturday.
Could be two wins in a row over the Crimson Tide if they pull off another game like they did last year.
Yeah, run the ball. Run the option. Force them to defend sideline to sideline. But no, Alabama, I watched a little bit of Alabama-Georgia last night. Alabama showed great examples of what to do in red zone or short yard situations with a quarterback that's not a run-first guy or a dual threat. And they're run the fast to the flat rollout for a touchdown where Ty Simpson kept it, walked in for a score right before halftime. And then late in the game to salt it away on a 3rd and 2, they ran a misdirection version of that. Those are things that should really be incorporated into the Nebraska offense, especially if we're not going to get in there and run speed option with Dylan Raiola in those situations. Have that threat of the pass to open up lanes, and then, he can tuck it for a few yards. That's probably more likely than last week what I was saying about, bring Latif in inside the 10, because I don't think Rule's the kind of guy that's going to want to shuffle quarterbacks in and out situationally like that.
Well,
I thought it was a great game plan by them, and I think it was a great thing for Kalen DeBoer to shut some people up down there, because that loss to Florida State was bad, but DeBoer is a good coach. I think he's going to do fine at Alabama. He's not going to get to Saban levels, but, who will?
Right. The only reason I know, because I looked him up last night, Haas, is Simpson was the number 1 dual threat QB archetype.
Yep.
On Rivals or whatever. So I guess he was allegedly supposed to be kind of a dual threat guy out of high school. So I thought the same thing. I was like, man, they're really running him a lot of these design runs. So I didn't think so either, but apparently that is part of his game. I didn't know either.
I didn't know that either. And
the only reason I know is because we were at Mouth of the South last night and I Googled it to see, because I was watching. I'm like, man, he was really athletic.
Yeah. No, I was thinking from the standpoint like DeBoer.
He's white.
Generally hasn't had running quarterbacks. He's very much an NFL style passing game. So that's my bias was clouded.
Yeah, and then he doesn't. To be fair, Simpson doesn't look like a dual threat. He doesn't have that look to him. Not to pull a Steve Sipple when Sean Callahan compared Rex Guthrie to Nate Gary, and Sipple's like, why? Because he's white. But honestly, it's Ty said he doesn't fit the archetype. He's kind of tall, kind of thick. He doesn't really look like he'd be a dual threat, but he's athletic, and
sorry, Jake.
No, I was gonna say apparently I didn't know this either, but I looked him up because I Googled him. I was like, what was his star rating? Who is this guy? I never heard of him, and apparently he was the number 1 dual threat out of high school when he went to Bama.
It's kind of like first time I saw Christian McCaffrey play for Stanford, I was like, he's kind of like Rex Burkhead. And it's like, oh.
No, he's not.
I want to, while we're continuing the conversation about the greater college football landscape, last week, I think it was something about the 17th and 19th, something like that, anniversary of his epic I'm an adult rant. I'm a grown man. Mike Gundy was let go from Oklahoma State. And in the wake of that decision, as it always happens, names pop up as possible candidates. And Nebraska's offensive coordinator, Dana Holgorsen, was on one of those lists. I don't know. Does he want I don't know. We don't have this inside information, but does he want to be a head coach again? I guess
I don't think so.
Paycheck is right.
I don't think so. A lot of the chatter when he came here last year was he's kind of wanting to go the route that some head coaches in college football have gone. That's jump up to the NFL and just be a coordinator. And I think that's probably a big reason why he wanted to work with Dylan, to showcase how his offensive philosophy could translate to the NFL game.
Jake?
Yeah, he has connections there, obviously. Some of those great Oklahoma State offenses were coordinated by him in the past, so it makes sense that his name would be linked. I would take anything you see on Twitter, with a grain of salt. As far as people the rumor mill is Holgorsen to whatever. I don't know.
I don't think with how acrimonious it was with Gundy there at the end, I don't think they're going to want any ties together.
And just to be frank with it, I really like Mike Gundy. I love coaches like that are a player first coach. And I know everyone, I'm a man, I'm 40 old thing. If you look back and see why he did that, it's pretty he was really sticking up for his guy when he did that rant. And at sake of embarrassing himself, quote unquote, it was actually a pretty cool thing he did, kind of throwing himself on the tracks there. God, I forget his name is Bobby what? Haas. Bobby
Reed. Bobby Reed.
Who was supposed to be the next Vince Young.
Yeah, one of the biggest 5-star quarterbacks to ever come out of the state of Texas.
Yeah, I mean, he was like a Ryan Perrilloux type guy that, by the way, I'm aging myself, those in the chat. Ryan Perrilloux was actually, before Jamarcus Russell was at LSU, this huge 5-star quarterback, whatever. He was like that, and he went to Oklahoma State. But anyway, all the respect in the world to Mike Gundy. This season is a disaster for Oklahoma State. Do I think it's entirely his fault? No. He was that coach, though, so some blame to be shoveled there. But anyway, wish him the best in his likely retirement, at least as being a college head coach.
Fun fact, Mike Gundy called Eichhorst about the job in 2014.
No shit.
Yeah.
Really?
Him and Kyle Whittingham, and Eichhorst didn't return the calls. Kyle Whittingham at Nebraska would have been badass.
Well, no, dude, we had Mike Riley. What are you talking about?
Mike Riley.
We had Mike Riley, dude.
The Mr. Rogers of college football.
His
Nice
wife
guy,
made pancakes every Sunday.
I'm not gonna assassinate the man's character, but
no, we've done all this ad nauseum. The least bitter, like, firing ever, maybe in the history of college football.
it was just like putting your old dog down. You just
It's all right, buddy. Let's just leave. And I like how the guy attended. I know we're not talking about this, Greg. Sorry, we're not getting off track here, but like and Haas, but like the guy attended his own firing press conference and like actually fielded questions.
Yep.
Like, what a class.
100% class. I have no animosity towards the man.
I know the man probably doesn't drink. I'd offer him a drink if I ran into him. Probably end up buying him a club soda. But whatever he wants, club soda with lemon, it's on me, Mike. Anytime I see you, buddy.
Theo says Riley, the last Nebraska coach to beat a ranked opponent.
Yeah, I should. Yeah.
So that right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Probably gets him at least a shot somewhere. So, yeah, no, he a 500 coach through and through, but you just can't help but like the guy.
Compare that with Frost firing. It was just like, Jesus, you just get
you talk about acrimonious.
Yeah, just don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Well, something hit him on the way out. His truck was scraped up the sides.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
Probably driving through a Taco Bell drive-through at 2:30 in the morning.
Let's see.
I didn't say anything else. I didn't say he was under the influence. I just said he probably hit the wall of a drive-through. I didn't imply anything.
Yeah. Maybe it was the 108th and Maple one. That's pretty tight.
Yeah, that's where he was going.
Pretty tight corner.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Nebraska, Michigan State. Haas, you messaged me a couple of days ago, and I think you said Skipper. I've got notes.
Oh yeah. Basically, and this is probably going to get a little scheme heavy, so I do apologize.
I think our fans, our chat, I think they love X's and O's talk.
Basically what this game is going to come down to is you got to win on first down. Much like Michigan got into a lot of 2nd and 3s and 2nd and 4s, Nebraska has to do the same thing against Michigan State. And what Michigan State is likely to do on 1st and 10 against us, they're probably going to roll that strong safety in the box. They're probably going to run some cover 3 variation, robber coverage. They're going to really try to sell out to stop our inside zone and RPO plays that we like to run as, tone setters on 1st and 10 of, hey, let's just, hand the ball off or flip it out to the flat real quick or on a slant route. So I think that's where you're going to see them be a little aggressive in trying to rob the underneath route.
As in bringing that safety down.
Yeah.
Trying to undercut those RPO routes. For just Haas, I'm just
jump in when
because you're more adept at the X's and O's than I am, and then I kind of weirdly like marry the lay fan with like the X's and O's. So like the robber concept being that one of those safeties coming down to the weak or the strong side to undercut that RPO on the slot is what he's talking about. For those who don't, who maybe I'm underselling our audience. Maybe they all know what a robber concept is also.
So exactly. So like you said it best with like either they're going to rob the strong side.
Yep.
Or they're going to, because we throw some front side RPOs too.
It'll depend too on personnel where who's on what side of the field. So usually I would anticipate, this may not be true, probably wherever Ja'Cory Barney is the side they're going to drop, I'm guessing.
Yeah, with what he's done the past few weeks, he's probably going to be the focal point.
They'll probably drop the safety on that side and then leave the other, either the X or the Z, probably in one-on-one with the zone over the top on him.
Exactly. And you segued into what I was going to say next. The big key for Dylan's going to be continuing what he did against Michigan last week of identifying which side they were flipping to, rotating safeties down post snap. So once we get a feel, or better yet, Dylan can anticipate which side they're going to rob, he's got to just go to the opposite side. And I think you might even see some deep balls get thrown on first down with some double moves to the robber side to get that strong safety coming down, trying to rob the slant or rob the crosser, and then having our receiver, whoever it is, Ja'Cory, Dane Key, and Isaiah Hunter, get vertical again, try to increase the other remaining safety. And so I think that first down success is going to be huge in this game. I think you always want to be successful on first down, but you can't let them disrupt our RPO game. But and the worst case scenario would be if they're able to get off blocks against our offensive line and successfully rob the pattern on the RPO side. That's when we're going to be in a situation where we're like, oh shit, here we go.
Yep. That defensive concept leads to a lot of those when you watch on TV. Like, where was he throwing that ball?
Yep,
that's where a lot of those come from. Because
robber coverage is a great coverage.
Yep, because the quarterback never sees the underneath defender coming underneath and then robbing the concept. That's why it's called that. But can we I know we don't go backwards, take just a second to discuss how masterful Dylan Raiola was against Michigan.
Exactly.
In identifying and executing the coverages on those. The guy was pressured 36 times, sacked 7. Masterful performance, and he's not getting the credit he deserves. I will die on the hill right now that he is a top 10 quarterback in the country. Top 10.
Exactly. And that's the thing, when I took a few days after Sunday's show to digest it and watch the game again, Michigan looked like they were sitting in too high the entire game. They're robbing, rotating safeties just right before the snap.
Not only that, they were rotating.
And Dylan never took the bait.
No, and they were rotating. They were dropping their edges back.
Yeah, they were running rat coverage and fire
those rat coverages too. And he would look them off. What an impressive job! I don't want to sound like I'm whatever with him, but what an impressive job! I couldn't be more encouraged by his performance. The rest of the team needs to step up because we got ourselves a very special player for his second year.
Dylan put on a quarterback masterclass.
That's a master
reading coverage and not reacting to it, anticipating.
Masterclass. And I'm a big Greg probably maybe doesn't. I'm a big quarterback junkie when it comes to this, and he's not just
a big topic when we're putting away some brewskis.
Yeah, which we are tonight. But like it's not just I don't know everything about the game of football. I know quarterbacking a little bit, and in my opinion, that was a master class of a game, and he basically and kind of basically Ja'Cory Barney, but basically kept us in the game against Michigan pretty much themselves, mostly Dylan. So
you always said it about Heinrich Haarberg, his 5 games that he won at quarterback off balls and guts.
And
now we're seeing a quarterback that's putting the physical tools, the mental tools together with the balls and guts. And I think the sky's the limit. And I've been somebody who's tempered expectations very heavily on Dylan through the first 1 1/4 seasons he's been here. And I've even taken some pot shots at dear old Minnie at times about Dylan Raiola. But that Michigan game made me an absolute believer in this game.
100. I've been very critical of him openly on our show.
I was critical as recently as the Akron game. When he looked off a wide open wheel route to check it down, and I was sitting basically where you're sitting right now in your basement, Jake, and I lost my shit, And now it's like, holy shit, this guy, 11 touchdowns, 1 pick through a quarter of the season. I said 35-5. And if that rate continues, I'm going to have to revise it a little bit,
I would, yeah.
That interception that he did throw against Michigan was tip ball. Shit happens, He didn't throw a single coverage pick. He never got baited a single time into making a coverage pick.
I wish we could have the whole Corn Nation squad down here in this basement. So there's no room for everybody. We have too many viewers, too many awesome, but that'd be cool.
I've been kind of repetitive about saying that when Dylan misses, he's smart enough to put the ball in a place where the defender can't get to it. He's accurate enough to be like, look, if my receiver can't get to it, nobody's going to be able to get to it. Whether it's throwing it, at the ground, making sure it's out of bounds. I've been beating that drum kind of all season long as I've watched him continue to improve and showcase his abilities. Tony, our Minnesota fan, says, panel, is Nebraska going to be successful this year if your quarterback is expected to throw for 300-plus yards per game?
I think if he's throwing for 300-plus yards per game, chances are we're scoring a lot of points.
Yeah, we're scoring a lot of points.
And the other thing I wanted to add, I'm seeing Minnie's comment right now. But
which one?
The dear old Minnie. I know, Minnie, I know it's your birthday tomorrow. You're not old. Sorry. It was I meant it, as a term of endearment, which was filmed in Lincoln, Nebraska, by the way. But what I was going to add to talking about, overall with our offense, our ability, if we can run the football, is going to open up so many more opportunities for Dylan in the passing game, especially, if you're able to get a safety to commit to the run game, Lindenmeyer is going to eat over the middle. You're going to see a lot of in cuts and digs that are going to be thrown off play action. And I really do think that Nebraska's receiving core, I'd put it top 3, top 4 in the conference.
I agree. And I do want to make – sorry, Greg, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jake.
I was going to say, I want to make one comment real quick. Not because I'm not some expert, obviously, but before the whole week leading up to Michigan, all the talking heads on every TV platform, whatever, if Nebraska is going to win, they have to run the ball. And Hasse, you know where I'm going with this, is I was like, well, yes, but if Dylan can do something like 33 of 40, these are my exact words. I said like 10 different people. Something like 33 of 40, 320 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 or 0 picks, I think we win the game. And I was basically spot on. We couldn't run the ball. We lost 27-30. Dylan threw for 3 touchdowns, 308. I mean, if we're throwing 300 yards a game and Dylan actually maintains that, and you're not turning the ball over a bunch, which he's shown he's not prone to doing, I think we win a lot of games this year.
I do too. And I think one thing that'll make me feel a lot better just about the season as a whole is if against Michigan State, when we're in the red zone against them, they're probably going to go to like a cover 1 or a 2-man, 2 high man coverage scheme. If we can run the football effectively and maybe start adding in some of those wrinkles, like we were talking about how Bama used Ty Simpson to play 11-on-11 football inside the red zone. And so it's kind of a holistic approach of you got to marry it all together. If Dylan's going to be out there expected to throw for 300 yards a game to win football games, what else can you do to open that up even more? Because I think, was it Tony that said that was the Minnesota fan that said that about 300 yards per game, Greg?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tony, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I kind of interpreted that was maybe you saying if he's expected to throw for 300 yards, it's because we're down and we're chucking it all over the place. I don't think we're going to be blown out at any point this year. I think that we're going to be able to control defenses by using the pass as an extension of the run. I know Husker fans are everywhere going to groan about that because that's a Bill Callahan axiom, extension of the run game. Run the effing ball, run the football. I prefer RTDB, run the damn ball. But
not the shirt they had.
You saw that against Michigan where – we initially tried just to control using the short passing game, 3 and out, 4 down, 1 and 2 control.
100%.
And we got 1 or 2 touchdowns. 3 and out, 4 down, 1 and 2 control. 1 or 2 touchdowns. 3 and out, 4 down, 1 and 2 control. 1 or 2 touchdowns. 3 and out, 4 down, 1 and 2 control. 1 or 2 touchdowns. 3 and out, 4 down, 1 and 2 control. 1 or 2 touchdowns. 3 and out, 4 down, 1 and 2 control. 1 or 2 touchdowns. 3 and out, 4 down, 1 and 2 control. 1 or 2 touchdowns. 3 and out, 4 down, 1 and 2 control. 1 or 2 touchdowns. 3 and out, 4 down, 1 and 2 control. 1 or 2 touchdowns. 3 and out, 4 down, 1 and 2 con forcing guys to come up from coverage, rally to the ball. I think that's going to be a huge part of our game plan moving forward. And I think over time with that receiving core that we have, you might see what was a 5-yard stick route or slant route in the first quarter start breaking late in the game, for explosive yards after catch kind of plays.
Let's see. One area of concern, I suppose, Scott says, if Raiola isn't given more time, I don't see how you can improve the passing game. Maybe roll him out some more. I mean,
we're not going to see another front like Michigan's.
But is our undersized, or maybe not undersized, but is our our offensive tackles are garbage.
Well, I don't think you're going to see the same rollout against Michigan State that we saw against Michigan.
I'm going to put it in a less harsh way. The offensive tackles are deficient, and I think the answer is not rolling Dylan out. One, that's not his game. Two, I don't think that helps us any. I think that the answer would be to use a tight end to chip on the strong side and on obvious passing situations, which we did not do against Michigan, which we should have, I think. Not that I'm being paid $3 million a year. Leave a running back in to have an extra protector when Dylan drops back to offset the pass rush. The problem is that you do not expect or think you should leave an extra blocker in, a running back or chip a tight end, when the defensive front is rushing 3. And Michigan was getting home against us rushing 3, which is a problem. So
that's Joe's issue at that point.
It is. But with all due respect, having a rollout concept is not the answer, in my humble opinion.
I think what more the answer should be is probably incorporating shovel passes, working the screen game, draws. When Holgorsen was at Texas Tech and Oklahoma State and West Virginia, he had a killer sprint draw package in those offenses. And I think that's something that we should probably start to try to get lateral movement, lateral displacement on the defensive fronts, get them away from our point of attack, and which is really what I think our modus operandi going forward in the run game is going to be, is probably really emphasizing being more of a leverage-based running game, blocking angles, pulling guys around, not just trying to jam it right down somebody's throat.
Let's see. Fred says Michigan may be the best front seven we see, but all other teams have to do is blitz or a stunt, and we can't solve it.
They didn't really blitz us.
They didn't have to.
They didn't have to.
What about everybody else, though?
Yeah, but other teams don't have the DNs that Michigan had. It's just like Nebraska in 2009. We rarely blitzed because we got pressure with 4.
Well,
we went dime.
You got pressure with most one guy.
We would go dime, and we still had top 10 rushing defense out of a dime pack.
Yeah, and there were, by the way, not to sell the other guy short. I need to walk that back, Haas. Not to sell the other front guy short. I kind of conjecture there.
But, the whole thing comes down to, other teams can be like, oh, man, look at these guys. They gave up 7 sacks to Michigan. We're going to get after their asses on Saturday. Okay, what if your dudes can't win at the point of attack? What if your dudes aren't as good as Michigan's dudes? So at that point, whatever Michigan put on tape doesn't matter. You have to be within yourself when you're putting together a game plan to attack an offense or a defense. We can't, for instance, look at let's say USC blows the doors off of somebody, and we're going to do exactly that. Well, we can't, because that's not within what we do. That's not the scheme or philosophy that we run. And you have 1 week to install it. You can't. Tiger can't change its stripes in 1 week. And I think a lot of times, and I'm not singling out Fred, I'm not singling out anyone here with comments. I think a lot of times people think it's like they have unlimited practice time and they're robots and they can just program to go do what the opponent before them did. No, you're still teaching. You might have guys that position coaches that have never taught something the way that another team is doing it. And then in 1 week, you're going to ask them to revamp the entire thing. In college football, all your install gets done in the off season.
Not how it works.
Week to week, all you're doing is just putting in little wrinkles. Hey, I saw this play, fits in with what we do. Yeah, let's put it in. Okay. You can't have expensive installs in college football.
Husker Chuck says other teams will get burned blitzing us. Dylan has shown he can find the open spots when they do blitz.
My man, Husker Chuck, awesome comment, dude. 100%.
And Rostovsky says regarding Michigan, they blitzed or rushed 35 times is what he thought PFF said. And Dylan's really good against the blitz. So
I would not trust anything PFF says.
Okay.
Well, I also, Haas, I disagree. I do buy in a little bit more than he does on PFF. Also, Aaron, one of the more insightful. What do we call them? Filthy animals? Are they the dirty animals? What do we call them?
I mean, Aaron's family. He's Cornation.
Aaron's Cornation family. Also, I mean, dude, like really insightful, and I agree with I agree with that 100%. Dylan's great against the blitz.
The thing that drives me nuts with PFF is they're sitting there. It's a bunch of statisticians.
Now, I'm a baseball guy, Haas. You have to remember, I'm a sabermetrics baseball guy.
A bunch of statisticians sitting there. They don't know what the checks are. They don't know what the calls are. They don't know, what a team's automatic front coverage is. They're sitting there, and they're just going off of what's the jersey number and what's the position of the guy. So if you bring four and you got 3 down and you're fitting the jack linebacker into the protection scheme, even if he's from depth, that's not necessarily a blitz. You're fitting 4. 5 could be the same way. So I think there's a nuance there that as much as I love Chris Collinsworth, and I know you're not a Chris Collinsworth guy.
No.
Chris Collinsworth owns PFF.
I know
in PFF at all.
It's conflicting things. I am for those of you that have watched Moneyball, I'm a Moneyball type of guy. I believe in it. As a former baseball guy, whatever, I very much buy into the Moneyball thing. And we'll agree to disagree on that. I don't buy into it fully, but I do like the PFF analytics metrics. But I also agree with everything you said, Haas, by the way.
Well, I'm
not going to disagree with everything you said.
Oh, I know you're not, but Pitt Snipe said he's curious about my aversion to PFF. My hatred for PFF really started with them grading offensive linemen. You're grading them without knowing blocking schemes, how it's drawn up. You're grading them not knowing what their line calls are. And you're grading them like they could be like, oh, he graded out really high. He could be in the meeting room talking to his position coach, getting graded on film from the previous game. His steps might have been wrong. Or he might have blocked a guy, but it was the wrong guy.
Yeah, but that's all supposed to even out over the course of
yes and no, because I'm one of the people, especially being a former offensive lineman, if you miss an assignment, they tell you to go block somebody else. Sure. But how portable is that? How generalizable is that from one missed play? You can't replicate that over the course of the season. It's a hustle play. I'll give you that. But
Colin Miller missed plays for 2 seasons straight on defense.
And he was always graded high.
Was he really?
Yeah, it drove me nuts.
Oh, well, then never mind. I throw my everything I just said completely. Listen, Colin Miller's never going to see this. If he does, I'm sorry, brother. I appreciate you strapped it up for us. Love you, Husker Nation forever. The most frustrating player I ever saw play at this university. Did he really grade high on PFF?
Oh, yeah. He always graded super high on there. I remember.
That's a joke. Yeah, never mind. I take back everything I said. I completely disagree.
Always was graded super high on PFF.
Who?
Like Ethan Piper, the offensive guard.
I throw away everything I just said. Everybody listening, forget everything I said up to this point. Also, Ethan Piper, love you, brother. If I see you out in public, buy you a drink. I appreciate everything you did for this university. Yeah, I completely disavow my previous statements.
And I'm going to walk something back with Aaron, what he said about never take all PFF numbers seriously. I personally think that the amount of guys rushing is a bit of a semantic type thing, just because it could just be as simple as, hey, that's our AFC call against this formation on the hash, not necessarily a blitz.
Does everyone know what AFC is?
Probably not. I mean, automatic front coverage.
So automatic front coverage is the simplistic defense you can run. No matter what front you're in, no matter what scheme you're in, whether you're in a 3-4, 4-4, 5-2, whatever, everyone is assigned a specific man on defense, and you just automatically cover your man. It's automatic front coverage.
Yeah, so it's installed during the week leading up.
It's installed during the week. What the Chicago Bears, the vaunted 85 Bears, 90% of the time that they played that season, they were in automatic front coverage. That's all they ran. So when Haas is talking about, again, I'm trying to bridge the gap. When he talks about AFC, he's talking about automatic front coverage, which I think even in today's game, everyone talks about how complicated it is, whatever. When you have the Jimmies and Joes, I still think you should be in automatic front coverage half the time.
Yep.
You should.
09 Nebraska is a great example. I bet later in the year, down the stretch in 09, that defense is probably an AFC
like
70% of the snaps.
70% of the time. Like, it's all you run. It's 11 on 11. Beat your guy.
I don't really even know where to go from there.
Sorry.
Here we go. This is falls under the realm of housekeeping, but it very much lines up with what you guys have been talking about. Minnie says, "Don't forget to smash the like button for X's and O's talk." So make sure if you are on YouTube that you like. Try that again. Like this video, subscribe to the Corn Nation YouTube channel, and ring that bell for notifications so you never miss new content. You don't want to be showing up 40 minutes late like BFOTS Josh Hansen, who had to be reminded that this show was even happening.
No, and like Minnie said just now, sorry, I know we have more comments, Greg, but like, who needs web service when you have Jake, whatever. No, it's that Haas's knowledge of football, this guy I've talked football with for like 10 years, is advanced. Not to your ego here. But it's advanced, and I think that it's like sometimes over the course of doing the show with you for a long time, I think that you kind of forget that some people don't know the simples.
It is easy to lose sight of because
it's easy to lose sight because So I think that sometimes maybe what limited value I bring to this show.
You're a PT peer.
Like, pump the brakes and let's just have a quick second to Fred, I did that. Sometimes just, hey, dude, like you're talking about something that's simple to people that know football, but not that our the viewers know football, but like, I think maybe sometimes like, hey, let's talk about what it actually is, like AFC or robber or whatever it is. Cause your knowledge is, like I said, it's so much more. It is way more than mine.
Your sister asked me one of the funniest questions about football last week, and I can't remember what it was, but she asked, let me think on it. But I literally sat there for a second, and obviously, Katie is not dumb when it comes to football. Like, she understands.
Well, she grew up with me, and then
But like, I was sitting there, and I was like, I guess I've never really thought about breaking that down. It's so simple to me. I just see it, and I'm just like, oh, okay, carry it on. Oh God, if it comes to me, I'll tell you guys, but. Yeah, no, that's something where it's like that Saban thing where he's like, they're in a Cat 3 fire zone. Yep. It looks like man, but it plays like zone. Herb Street goes, can you explain that for people at home?
So he says it's slower.
And he just goes, it's a Cat 3. It looks like man, but it plays like zone. Yep. And so that's my highlight on College Game Day now. I'll pat myself on the back for having something even so small as common as Nick Saban.
Because, like, I know what he means, and I know you know what it means, but people may not know what that means. And, yeah,
it's like Bill Callahan. Oh, it's probably too technical for you, Jim. Fred will get that one. I know he will.
Haas, do you have more notes for the Michigan State game coming up next
week? The only thing that I wanted to end on was the game's going to come down really just to winning on first down. Dylan anticipating that which side the robber's coming from and getting the ball to where it needs to go, keeping the ball safe. And then the other part of it's going to come down to running effectively in the red zone. And I really think if we're going to see any schematic overhaul at any point this year, it's probably going to be in our red zone offense. Didn't like the gimmick shit that we ran in the first couple of games. We really struggled, lining up in power and heavy sets at the goal line. Even against Akron, we got stopped. That kind of doesn't really fit what we're doing. But if we're going to stay in our base offense inside the red zone, we just got to incorporate some misdirection elements, kind of like what Bama did to seal the game yesterday on that rollout, the counter rollout. And honestly, just get better up front through development over the season to run more effectively in the red zone. So those are my big keys. Win first down, stay out of third and long, run effectively in the red zone for this game.
Let's take a little bit at little look at some starred comments here. Mr. Matney wanted to know a few minutes ago, at what point is Donovan Raiola on some sort of hot seat?
We go 7-5.
Yeah. End of the season.
Yep.
Depending on our record.
We go 7-5. He needs to be out. We need to hire Brian Ferentz. I'm still doubling down on that.
Never would have thought.
You're telling me.
Fuck that. I don't give a fuck. Do not want him.
I just want to have good offensive lines.
I don't want anyone here named Ferentz. We can find someone else.
Bill Callahan could come back, and I'd be thrilled.
Yeah, that's a great. Thank you, Haas. No one named Ferentz is ever allowed. Yep. They should never be. This is
the way I look at it, Jake.
This is the equivalent of a former Soviet spy being welcomed into the arms of the presidency of the United States. I do not want a Ferentz ever at this university.
All right, I'll go socio-political on you as well. In the 80s, we backed bin Laden and the Mujahideen in Afghanistan because it helped us meet our agenda.
Still morally more sound.
I'll take whoever comes in here if it means good offensive lines.
No, because the Mujahideen, everything, all that shit happened after we backed them. Ferentz was a member of the enemy before we welcomed him here. Don't want him. I don't care if he works for free. Don't want him.
He'd probably try to stick it to Iowa.
I don't even give a shit. I don't care.
Enemy of my enemy is my friend.
No, I'll die on this hill amongst everybody. I do not want a former Hawkeye ever as an employee. Dana Holgorsen was born in the state. I already bit that bullet and accepted him. It was hard enough to do.
He won't ever go anywhere while Daddy's still coaching.
Bob Diaco played at Iowa.
I don't get gas in Iowa.
I buy a lot of energy drinks when I'm driving.
I don't buy shit. I'm not going to support that fuckhole economy.
I just want to
come back,
man.
Big Reds. Sorry, we're getting a little bit violent on the show tonight. Sorry, guys. We're getting a little spicy. I come back to Nebraska. Who hates Iowa? I do. I hate him.
Me too, but I want good offensive lines, and he's no longer employed by Iowa. I have a state of Nebraska tattoo on my bicep, for crying out loud.
Have I asked you guys or told you guys my Iowa joke? Why do birds fly upside down over Iowa?
No, why?
Because there's nothing worth shitting on in Iowa.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
I was gonna say one, but it's very no. I shouldn't.
I don't think Brian's not going anywhere while Daddy's still coaching. I'm guessing
he's no longer at Iowa.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. But I mean, he's not going to coach anywhere.
He's at Maryland right now.
Is he in Maryland?
Yeah.
Eating Gushers and drinking Capri Suns and
he's their tight ends coach.
He's their tight ends coach. Yeah. He can stay there.
All right, let's see. I think this got mentioned early on in the show, but I don't remember the answer. So Drake wants to know.
He's at Fresno State now with Matt Entz.
Do you think the spread is fair for Michigan State game?
Yes, Haas, guys, take lead on this one.
Yeah, take lead.
Yeah. So I saw on Twitter, whatever. A lot of Nebraska fans were surprised by the spread at 11.5 when it opened. That's right where I thought it would have been. I thought fair, and this is me being a homer and kind of arrogant, would have been closer to 2 touchdowns, about 14. Just because I think we match up really well against them as far as personnel and how we performed with our offense and their defense and whatever. So, yes, I do think it's a fair spread. Do I think it's going to drop? Probably. I'm guessing the game will kick off about 9.5. I think Michigan State's going to get a lot of the money.
Let's see, a few from Husker Chuck here about some past Nebraska opponents. It looks like Michigan could go into the Ohio State game 10-1, so it's not a bad loss.
100.
Exactly.
Husker Chuck knows ball.
And Cincinnati is favored over number 14 Iowa State this weekend. Ooh. They could go 10-2.
Yeah, they're minus, I think, 2.5. Or 1.5 maybe. Yeah, Cincinnati is starting to look better and better. Because Iowa State's a good football team.
They are. And I'm very happy that they won the Cy-Hawk Trophy again in the same manner that they won it last year.
What do you think my opinion is, Greg? Do you think I'm happy they won the Cy-Hawk Trophy?
Yes.
Yeah. I can't stand that. I by the way, when I say I can't stand that state, that does not apply to Northern Iowa, Iowa State, or any other university in the state of Iowa that does not reside in Iowa City. The rest of you, I love you. It's just one yellow and black shit program that resides over there.
So back on Michigan State. So I think one of the things that drives that spread is take a listen at what their rankings are in terms of defense at Michigan State. Opponents pass 54% of the time against Michigan State, so that they're the pass play percentage 117th in the country. They're giving up 67% completion rate. That's good for 106th in the country. Opponents average yards per pass 7.8 yards, so 93rd in the country. Opponents are throwing 34, almost 35 passes a game, 101st in the country. They're giving up 270 yards per game through the air. They're 114th in the country in interceptions forced, and they're 108th in the country in sacks. This is not the Michigan Wolverines.
No.
All right. I like that.
Good poll, dude.
We're going to jump to it. It's a little further ahead. But Stephen Fromm want to know if we hate Iowa more than Colorado.
1,000%.
Not even close.
Colorado was a rivalry before we left the conference.
Listen.
The past few years playing them in 18-19, then again 23-24, it felt a little contrived.
When I speak about the vitriol I have for that program, I don't think the hate I feel could be harnessed to power a small village for weeks on end.
You know,
that is the energy that I expend hating that university.
The hatred I have for Iowa gets into a dark place, and the only thing darker than that is the depression that I feel the Saturday of Thanksgiving weekend when I wake up after we lost to them.
The fact that
I hate everything about them.
A regal, storied program like the University of Nebraska losing to a shit, bottom of the barrel, garbage program like Iowa is embarrassing and should never happen. We should spend the next 50 years going 50-0 against that garbage crap program that they have over there. The only thing they offer is white punt returners. That's the only thing they have. That's all. And punters. They have great punters. That's it.
Wait a minute. Speaking of, didn't I see that Cooper DeJean's brothers can be taking an official visit to Nebraska?
Here we go.
Point this season.
Yeah.
Come over here. You know, there's some comments talking about Colorado saying false fiction. It's Colorado. Didn't feel contrived to me. Here's the thing. I went to Boulder in 19, had no problems with Colorado fans. The students were students. They're college students. One of my buddies almost pulled a Lawrence Phillips trying to scale 3 apartment balconies to get to some CU fans throwing trash at him. But Iowa fans, they stir something deep. It's a deep, visceral reaction dealing with Iowa fans. It's like I almost look at them, and they could be fine people. I'm not talking about them as people at large, but they're the football team they root for. It's almost like subhuman. That's how much I hate Iowa.
I'm glad we're getting in this dark area right now. This is what makes this show like fucking edgy and awesome. Yeah, when I see a Hawkeye hoodie on somebody, I immediately don't like you, and I see you crawl into your Chevy Colorado or whatever you're driving.
Honda Ridgeline.
Yeah, your Honda Ridgeline, like you're some kind of man that does shit on the weekends and whatever you do. And I know I'm not going to go there. I almost said something really bad. We're going to cut it right there and move on to the next topic.
Just wanted to ask.
Yep.
When I see Iowa fans in Omaha, I feel like Kurt Russell as Wyatt Earp in Tombstone, where it's like, you called down the thunder. Well, now you got it.
Well, while we're talking about hatred, living in Omaha, David Matney says some hatred of teams is hardwired for Husker fans of a certain age.
100.
So I think that's why, we go back and kind of care, harbor ill will for Colorado and their fans. Missouri, I think this is what talking about Missouri hatred is what prompted the context of this comment here. I just hate everybody. Like there's not a team in the conference that we don't have that conference unity like the SEC where, hey, if it's not us, as long as it's somebody else. Like I don't care. I never want.
I root against Big Ten teams in bowl games in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Well, depends on who they are. Like USC, for whatever reason, their fans have always been really courteous on social media, at least to me, with my interaction. So I usually root for USC. Trying to think, like, Wisconsin, no. I'm not going to talk about Iowa. I don't know. I don't. This sounds weird because we've been a part of the conference. I feel like we're not one of those old blood teams in the conference.
Right.
Does that make sense, everybody? Like we're not we're not.
You're not an original charter member. You're on the outside looking in.
We're still very much an outsider.
I know when I had interact. Also, by the way, last year before the Colorado game, I was very active on Twitter, X, and the Colorado fans I interacted with, when I met them with respect, they met me with the same respect. As far as, hey, man, I hope the best team wins. Shedeur Sanders is a really good quarterback. I think we have a hell of a team. Fuck Colorado, go Big Red. I used to say that. Like, I said that like 100 times, and people said the same thing. Fuck Big Red, go Colorado, respect, man. Like, they were really cool on social media. You know who I do not have that with? Our neighbors to the east. You will never have that. You will never have that respect, that mutual. You cannot talk shit with these people because they are irrational, they are delusional, and I saw a guy today, Hawkeye Enjoyer. I hope you see
He
this.
took the hat off.
He actually said when the team is healthy, they're a top 3 team in the country. And I saw a comment that said top 3 in what? Punting? He said top 3 team, period. You think that you're a top 3 team in the country? I've never seen a more delusional human being in my life. And I'm a Nebraska fan, for fuck's sake. Like, that's the most insane thing I've ever seen. I'm going to leave that there, and we can move on to the next topic. But can we all just sit here and soak in that unless he's a troll, he might be a troll.
Probably
that does sound like a troll comment.
I think.
Last thing I'll say about Iowa, just some of the stuff about people saying Colorado fans at games are worse. The worst was that I've witnessed. I'm not speaking on your guys' behalf. Iowa fans trying to get out of Kinnick last year. It was like evacuating Saigon. It was that bad. I've never seen anything like it. Been to a lot of road games. Jake, you were at Ohio State last year. Ohio State fans were pretty cool for the most part.
Pretty cool. Some kind of obnoxious, but pretty cool. Honestly, unless they were provoked by one of the members of our party, which I pretty forcefully told to shut up at one point because I didn't want to. I wasn't trying to fight 20 guys. But, they were pretty cool. They were Ohio State fans, tip of the cap, pretty cool people.
Completely unrelated, but I have to ask. Minnie wants to know, Jake, do you just for men your hair?
No, I do not just mend my hair. I was blessed with a full head of hair.
Yep.
No, I don't do anything for my hair. I do nothing for my hair or my beard.
Gargamel, by the way, would love to go to an Iowa game with you, Jake.
Okay, well, you better fucking bring your brass knuckles, dude, because we're not getting out of there without some hands being thrown. I will not be around those people, those obnoxious fucking – sorry, I'm cussing a lot on the show tonight.
That's fine.
I'm not going to be around those people with their delusional takes, thinking that they're anywhere close to the – I lived with one of them when I was in college. He was my roommate. The delusional thought that your program is anywhere near the top programs in the country, the top programs being Alabama, Georgia, USC, Nebraska, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Texas. You're nothing. You're dog shit on those programs' feet. You account to nothing. I will not ever be lumped into that category. I don't care if you have a 9-win winning streak over us. Your program is barely 500 in their program's history. You have one Heisman winner in 1939, which, by the way, last year after the Iowa game, I mistakenly said when we were getting hosed by those Iowa fans, I don't know if you guys remember this, there was a lot of them that were in our comment thread. I said, you never had a Heisman winner. None of them called me out on it. No one ever corrected me. I was actually wrong. I said, you don't have a Heisman winner. No one actually was like Niall Kinnick. None of them. They don't even know their own fucking program history. None of them even knew they had a Heisman winner. They're lame. They suck. They don't know shit about football. I can't stand that program. I can't stand that state. Go Big Red. Go fuck yourselves. You guys suck. I hope you lose every game the rest of the year.
Gregory's technically southeast, Missouri, southeast of Nebraska.
Yeah, I also hate Mizzou.
Or we're going to put a pin in all of our Iowa hate, and we're going to save that for
we'll just move.
Yeah, I have another stat that I overlooked.
Sorry,
Michigan State's giving up 93% on opponent red zone scoring rate.
What that has to be last in the country.
What is it?
It's got to be like
106th in the country.
Wow, there's teams worse. Who's worse than that? Like UMass?
I don't have the national stats pulled up. I just took Michigan State's off the team rankings website.
While you're looking that up, Mr. Manny wants to know if the Big Ten was broken down in 3 tiers. Are we top tier, mid tier, or lower tier team?
Mid tier.
I say mid tier.
Yeah,
and I think what we'll learn in the next 4 or 5 weeks is if things go well, top of the mid tier.
Take care of business. It's all October comes down to.
Stephen Dunning is cautious. I'll believe it when I see it. Until then, I have little faith it's the Big Ten and we can lose any game.
Yep, I agree with that.
All right, you want to know who Michigan State's contemporaries are here?
Let me hear them, dude.
After Michigan State, UAB, Miami of Ohio, Rutgers, Georgia State, Georgia Southern, Army, Mizzou, Utah Northwestern, UTSA, Oregon State, Colorado State, Troy, Virginia Tech, Wisconsin, Charlotte, Oklahoma State, Rice, Kansas State, Indiana, South Alabama, Sam Houston, Boise State, Utah State, Oregon, and Kansas. Now, some of those are skewed because sometimes, if a team has blown people out and only a few people have gotten into the red zone and converted, it's going to skew that, obviously. But, I mean, just looking at this, Michigan State, like, for crying out loud, Akron, I think, is higher than they are.
You didn't mention them just now.
Yeah. So, and conversely, let's take a look where Michigan lands. By the way, we're 20th in the country in red zone opponent scoring rate.
Well, right. Hey, Haas, we didn't play anybody, man.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that's a statistical.
No, dude, we didn't play anybody, though. We only played 2 Power 4 schools.
Michigan is 28th in the country.
Wow. Dylan Ravioli is not that good, man.
Dylan Ravioli?
Yeah, Ravioli's not that good, dude. He hasn't played anybody. He only played one of the better defenses in the country and got sacked 7 times and got pressured 36 times and still completed 78% of his passes, threw for 308 and had 3 touchdowns. He's not that good, dude.
They ain't played no one yet.
I am on a roll tonight, man. I cannot stand this narrative I'm seeing on social media. I am fired up, folks.
I want to cover one last Iowa comment before we get to predictions. Husker chalk at 10:26.
It's been a long show.
Iowa could easily go 5-7 with the schedule they have. Imagine denying Iowa a bowl game by beating them in November. Savor the sweetness. There would be nothing sweeter than that win being our 10th win for us.
So
in playoff contention, and we keep them home for the holiday. They'll have to cancel. Hawkeye fans will have to cancel their reservations at hotels in Tampa. The timeshare industry is going to take
their standing invite to the Citrus Bowl. Beating a team like that is like when the nerd of the school, don't mean this any offense, like is at full strength, and then you have like COVID and have a broken arm, and then they're talking about they're tougher than you when you're like the badass of the school. That's what this Iowa-Nebraska rivalry is.
I want to beat them so bad that Kirk Ferentz finally realizes, damn, I feasted on the worst teams and coaches of the modern era of Husker football.
I just want to put them in their place. I want Nebraska to be back where they should be. You're back. Now, I'm not saying the 90s and the glory of that.
I think the 80s is the most accurate representation of what Husker football can be again.
Fred, I got to tell you, buddy, it only took a bye week to do it, man. I'm going to tell you, listen, I am a college football elitist. I think the college football is the healthiest when your top blue blood programs are elite. The blue blood programs being Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas, Georgia, Nebraska, Oklahoma, USC for sure. This in no order.
Ohio State.
Obviously, Michigan. Obviously. I already said Notre Dame, but
okay, sorry.
Those are top 8, like, or 9 or whatever. You know, those whole, your Minnesotas, Wisconsins, Iowas, what are some others from Missouri's? Those programs like that.
Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee. With Tennessee, I kind of count.
You give them a little bit of the blue blood.
Yeah, Ole Miss even kind of a little bit of the, but like those schools like that, they're mid-tier schools. Iowa, I'm not even considering mid-tier school. Iowa's below those, but.
Jake, what's your prediction for Saturday?
I got us 48-21. I got a huge win. Take out your frustrations. I think that
it's a change. I gotta have to update that thing.
Which, by the way, we're gonna get into. Can we still do? Or do we have time? I mean, everyone's still here.
By the way, originally at the outset of the season, Jake, you said 30-24 Michigan State.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna lose this one. I thought we were gonna have a hangover after beating Michigan.
Well, I don't think we have to worry about that.
Well, no, we didn't fucking beat Michigan, Greg.
What did I say, Greg?
41-24 Nebraska.
I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah, I was going to say, Haas, that's a good prediction.
We're going to stick with it.
Of course, I have Nebraska winning. Do you guys want to do a quick recap of
I do.
I mean, I got to do some grading still before tomorrow morning, so we're up against it.
All right.
It's up to you guys.
I mean, if we want to breeze through it, yeah, let's do it.
All right. So here's where we have. We're not making any changes right now. We'll make changes the week of. So for Maryland, Haas, you have us winning 37-14. Jake, you have us winning 41-20. For Minnesota, again, these are our first 2 true road games. Haas, you have us beating Minnesota 24-20. Jake, you have us doubling up Minnesota 34-17. Then we have back at home at the end of October against Northwestern. Haas, you have a 38-16 Nebraska win. Jake, 56-10 Nebraska win. I think
I want to amend the Northwestern one.
You can do it when we get there, Big Shoots. First week of November at home against USC. Haas, you have a 27-10 Nebraska win. And Jake, you have a 27-20 Nebraska win. Then we have on the road at UCLA on November 8th, and Haas 33-20 Nebraska, Jake 30-14 Nebraska. I feel like that's one they're probably going to get changed based on the way UCLA's played. After the bye week, and on the 22nd of November at Penn State, Happy Valley, you both picked Penn State to win. 23-14 Haas, 20-10 Jake. And then on Black Friday versus Iowa, Haas, you have 37-0 Nebraska, and Jake, you have 28-14 Nebraska.
I thought I had 168-0, Greg.
I think we corrected that at the time.
No.
So that's where we are on the predictions. And Haas, you're keeping yours. Jake, you upped yours to 48-21. Of course, I'm saying Nebraska as well. I'll give my score on Thursday. Couple last Tony thinks it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Yep, so do I, obviously. I have it going 90 points almost. Yeah.
Unrelated somewhat, Husker Chuck says Michigan's D-line's much better than anything we'll see for at least a month. Not saying we will dominate, but we won't be getting destroyed.
100%.
Yep.
That'd be nice.
Who's Husker Chuck, by the way? Dude, you know football.
Yep.
You should be commenting more on these shows, man. Awesome.
We should get you a show, Chuck.
Yeah, dude. You know football, dude.
And back to needling our quote-unquote friends to the east. Ken E. says, if I owned a house in Iowa and hell, I would rent the house in Iowa and live in hell.
Yes.
100%.
Let's see. Husker Chuck's been around. I know he's done some guest shots on Monday Night Therapy with Minnie.
Husker Chuck's the man, dude.
Chuck's on is what Pitt says. Making sure a quick scroll up.
Yeah.
Minnie says, I don't breeze through anything. Surprised you don't know that. It takes him 30 minutes to say goodbye.
I bet you breezed down the highway trying to find those donuts this morning.
It's true. I was on a mission. I was on a mission from God. So. All right. I think that'll do it for this episode of the Coordination Overreaction. We appreciate all of you for tuning in. Over 400 of you tonight. So thank you for being a part of the show. Join us specifically. It looks like most of our comments, I think, were on YouTube tonight. So if you're on X, jump in the YouTube comment section and participate with us. We want to hear your thoughts as well. So let's see if I'm doing this Brady Bunch style right. For every game, Jake.
Thanks, folks.
And for Haas, I'm Greg Mahachko. This is the 5 Heart Pod. Nope, that's Thursday. This is Coordination Overreaction. We'll see you next week. Don't forget Monday Night Therapy tomorrow night, Huskers Happy Hour on Tuesday, and 5 Heart Podcast on Thursday. Go Big Red. Make sure to subscribe. Haas.
Take care of business.
Appreciate you, folks. Have a great night.